Hi everyone, it's Zorine T from Yahoo Esports. I have the pleasure of speaking to Ed Boon today. How are you doing, Ed?
I'm doing very good. Everybody's checking out Injustice 2. We're very excited about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been very exciting actually, and we're going to talk about the game today. So, firstly, I guess, what are the new things that people can expect from Injustice 2 versus Injustice Gods Among Us?
A lot of new things. We're really trying to do what people would expect and want us to do, which is a bigger roster of characters, more features, more, a new brand new story, which is also, very synonymous with Injustice. But probably the biggest gameplay feature is what we're calling our gear system, which is, hundreds and hundreds of costume pieces per character that you can find and equip your character with and kind of customize their not only their visuals but how they play too.
Now, I did read a lot about the gear system. I guess for multiplayer competitive play, it was also mentioned that that system could be turned off as well. So it's
Well,
balanced.
yeah, this is our gear isn't just visuals; it actually affects gameplay. It'll give you more strength, more defense. You can affect a number of gameplay related things. And so the natural question for anybody who plays esports is, well, what if you're all completely equipped up with your character and I am like, just entering we're gonna match people up, with comparable levels of, experience and all that. But if you're at a tournament or esports, you can actually turn all that stuff off, still have the cool visuals, but have everybody like on a even tournament level playing field. That's really important. When we knew we were going to have to do that when we came up with the whole gear system.
And mechanics wise, there's been a few changes as well. For example, the environmental attacks and interactables can be blocked now. There's new evasive moves as well. What was I guess, the decision making process behind that?
A lot of the decision was just what we learned with the first Injustice game. After every game, we write down what we would want to do, what we could have done better and everything like that. And while people loved the environment system and being able to, but a lot of people wanted, to be able to block it and not have it have so much of an influence on it. So that's kind of like us turning the dial and saying, okay, you can still use the environment, but a lot of them can be blocked now, and also things of like getting out of combos. You can use meter to get out of a juggle combo or kind of to like roll and cancel out of a dash and everything. So we're really excited about. It's like more nuances for the kind of hardcore players to kind of take apart.
And there's a lot of new characters as well. Like, the roster is huge. How do you decide which characters you're going to add?
We always want a really significant amount of new characters. Like it's really important for us to say, you know, this character, Atrocitus, Supergirl, all of these characters. We really want to have people feel like there's a lot of newness to the game. Unfortunately, that means a couple of the characters from the last game couldn't make it, but there's always hope with DLC, and we're going to continue to add characters, through the game. We're going to be adding 9 more characters. Throughout the year as you play the game, and so it's always going to be new stuff coming for players.
And where do you draw the line? I mean, like, it's such a big cast, and the DC universe has so much to pull from. Where do you go, like, oh, okay, I think this amount of characters is enough for our roster. We shouldn't add any more after this?
I think there's a combination of two things. One is, just the realities of making video games. We can't make, we can't make 100 characters, for instance. That'd be it's just not enough time to do all that. But then also just the player, the palette of characters. We don't want to have the player have to choose from one of 100 characters. So there's kind of like a sweet spot around 25, 30 characters, and but then DLC is released one at a time, so we can tack on with that. But we really feel like there's a kind of like a sweet spot where players just kind of feel like we got a good amount, but it's not overwhelming.
Are there characters who have been kind of left on the cutting room floor?
There's a couple, in Injustice 1, we had a character called Ares, which was Wonder Woman's, villains. And for the sake of having new characters, we decided, not to have him in the main roster to start. And so it's always a tough thing, but our big thing is we really want to have as much new characters for people to kind of, not feel like it's just the first game, Injustice One, with new backgrounds.
Was there a character that you were personally hoping to add but couldn't really make it into the game for whatever reason?
The main ones that I kind of like had my heart set on, we got in. Atrocitus was a big one. Supergirl was a big one. Doctor Fate. I remember when I actually used to read the Doctor Fate comics when I was like a kid, and I was kind of sad that we didn't get him in the first game. But this game's so cool because we can dig deeper into the DC roster and get some of the characters that are not as well known as the Superman or Batman, but are just as cool and have interesting stories behind them.
How much does player feedback factor into that?
A lot. We are always getting listening to players, whether it's through social media or the tournament scene. We talk to a lot of the tournament players, and like a lot of the features that we came up with was seeing people play in tournaments and what they wanted, and so it's a ton. It's a significant influence in our games.
Will we see a lot of, I guess, competitive play integrated into the game, for example, like things highlighting events or tournaments that may be happening?
Oh yes, we have a system of communicating to players through online, through like announcements and all that, and we do intend to support the various leagues and esport things, and just to really promote the competitive aspect of the game. So we'll be doing that long after the game is launched.
Can you tell us more a little bit about the esports plans that you have for the game?
We have a whole bunch that are coming. The only one right now that we can kind of like announce is we're doing something with GameStop, and uh, and that's going to be, there's more details that are going to come out with that, but there's a number of them that we're going to have that it's going to be, we're going to be people are going to be very pleased with how many kind of organized events are related to Injustice 2.
And finally, what are you most looking forward to players reacting to in the game?
I can't wait to go online and see the custom versions of, Superman, Batman, Flash, Supergirl, Atrocitus. Seeing a player's custom version of it, like what they adjust to make them play a little bit different, what they adjust to make them look different. I think that's going to be so cool. To like every Flash, every Superman, every Batman that you play online is going to be unique to the other ones. That's what's so cool about it.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time today, Ed. And for more Injustice 2 coverage, we've got plenty more of that on Yahoo Esports.